Hello students, and welcome to this session where I am going to talk about writing essays based on set books. Now, these essays are tested in English paper 3 where question 2 tests the compulsory set books, which currently the compulsory novel is Blossoms of the Savannah by Henry Coulett, and the compulsory play is A Doll's House. Then in question 3, we test the optional books, and that is the short stories, Memories We Lost and Other Stories. We also test the short novel, The Pearl, and we also test um, the play Inheritance. Therefore, this lesson is very essential in answering question 2 and question 3 of paper 3. Now, uh, the essays have 3 parts, and the first part is the introduction. And the introduction is the place where you are supposed to get to start your essay. It should be very strong to an extent that the examiner will say that this is a person who knows what they are writing about. And for that to happen, there are a few things that you should make sure you do. One, you must capture the question demands. Therefore, it means before you even start writing the introduction, you must read the question, underlining the keywords so that you understand what it is that the examiner wants, then capture those demands in the introduction. Because the introduction is supposed to gauge your understanding of the question. It is supposed to show whether you have understood the question that has been asked, and therefore you write what it is that you are going to talk about. And the key thing that you are supposed to do here is to capture the vice or the value that the question is highlighting. And the fourth thing that you do is to give an example now from the book. Now, in the introduction, you can give an example from the book, but then you can relate it to actions or things happening in the real world. Therefore, the introduction is supposed to capture those 4 things. Always know that the introduction is supposed to be 1 paragraph long, and also you are not supposed to discuss any point in the introduction. The only thing that you do is just give an example. But if you find yourself expounding that example, then you will know that you are on the wrong track, and therefore just try to do the best. Do not expound on an example. Just give an example. For example, if you are writing an essay on Blossoms of the Savannah, you can say Olarinkoi gets to where Resian is, for example. Olarinkoi gets to where Resian is, and you stop at that. Don't explain what it is that Olarinkoi goes to do or how the meeting ends and everything. That should be contained in the body. And therefore, the next thing that we are going to talk about is the body. And the body is where you explain your points. And these are the things that you should note about the body. One, they have 3 types of sentences. And the first sentence is always the topic sentence, which we call the bearer of the answer. It is here that you make your statement. You write the point that you are going to discuss. And this topic sentence is mostly preceded by a transition word that is. For example, you can say firstly if it is the first paragraph, secondly if it is the second paragraph, however if it is a contradictory paragraph, and so on. Therefore, that is the first sentence, and it is supposed to be just a sentence. Then the second category of sentence is the illustrator sentences, or they are called the illustratory sentences. This is where you give the evidence of the point that you have made from the book. Remember, in the body, all the content and everything you say should come from the book. Then, after you have given 1, 2, or 3 examples, depending on the demands of the question and the availability of points basically from the book, then the final sentence that you write in a paragraph is the clincher sentence. And the clincher sentence is the one that summarizes the paragraph. It is just like a wrap up of the paragraph. So your paragraph should be having 3 types of sentences, and they should come out clearly because these are the scoring points. The basic question, or the common question that many students or many candidates ask is, how many points are you supposed to give in the illustrator sentences? And the answer is, you are supposed to consider the demands of the question and then the availability of points. If you have a lake of points or a sea of points for that particular question, then you can write 2 or 3. But you may find that in some instances it's only 1 point that is there. Therefore, it means you have to expound it well so that you give sufficient information. So in the body, make sure that you write a paragraph that has 3 types of sentences. I'm still very much insisting on that because the 3 types of sentences are the scoring points. Now, the body has 4 paragraphs, and mostly, actually, basically they are 4. At times they might be 3, at times they might be 5, but do not write 3, write 4 or 5, such that even if the examiner needs 4, the 5th one will act as a spare part, and it will help you gather courage. Then, after you have written the body, the final thing that you are supposed to write is the conclusion. And the conclusion is the shortest of these paragraphs because it is just a cover. It is a summary statement. Actually, it can be in 1 sentence or 2. For example, in my example here, the conclusion that I have for the question that I have written, when people are about to despair, that is usually the point when help comes. No matter how belated characters like Christian and Tayo get help, they still get it at the end of the day. Therefore, the conclusion is basically a very short paragraph, and it is supposed to be a wrap-up or the concluding statement, basically, of what it is that you have talked about. And it is supposed to give what you think or your own conclusion as far as what you have written about is concerned. Therefore, it's not much that we can say here. The only thing that I hope you are going to do is to understand that your essay must be having at least 6 paragraphs. And remember, we have said the first paragraph is the introduction, which is a whole paragraph that captures the things that I've mentioned about. We have talked about the body, which has 4 or 5 paragraphs, and the conclusion. Then the other things that you are supposed to be very keen on are things like the handwriting, punctuation, and everything. Make sure that when you write a topic sentence, you have supplied a full stop such that somebody will be able to know that this is the demarcation between the topic sentence and the illustratory sentences. Because I have seen students who write a whole paragraph that is 1 sentence long. If you do that, then it will mean that you will get only 1 mark, because I've said the scoring points are these 3 types of sentences that we have talked about. Thank you so much. I hope my lesson has helped you, and I wish you a nice time as you attempt the questions that I have given you. Stay safe.